the Conference on College Composition and Communication, which is an affiliate of the National Council of Teachers of English, so your English professor is probably part of this, they released a demand for college professors to stop teaching Black students standard English grammar and stop downgrading Black students in their college papers if they used improper grammar. Why? Because this board suggested that this is demeaning to Black students and lowers their self-esteem. When a teacher at the University of California at Los Angeles actually did this, when he correctly downgraded a student for using improper English in an academic paper, a student group called Call to Action, Graduate Students of Color, claimed that correcting a Black student constitutes a microaggression, and they launched a sit-in of the professor's next lecture. Does this sound like inclusion to you? It does not, because inclusion is not tolerance. Inclusion is not equality under the law. Inclusion is the premise that you will be made to care. You will be forced not only to accept something that you don't believe, but to violate the very core of your conscience, your relationship with Christ, your religious values, because the left said you had to. Inclusion means if you dissent, you will be placed in an ideological straitjacket. Inclusion is persecution against people of faith who practice their faith. It's punishment if you don't celebrate radical leftist ideology. So that, my friends, is the short answer to what is DEI? That is DEI. Diversity is racism. Equity is discrimination and authoritarianism. Inclusion is religious persecution if we're playing by the definition of the left. These things, and I hardly need to state this, are very bad things. Telling Black people that they have to think a certain way and vote for a particular political party because of the color of their skin is racism. Refusing to consider a white woman for a job because of the color of her skin is racial discrimination. Refusing to consider an Asian man for a job because of the color of his skin and his sex is both racial discrimination and sexual discrimination. Denying medical treatment to someone based on the color of their skin is also racism. It's discrimination, and it's particularly evil. Culturally decapitating a man in his business because he is a professing Christian and declines to offend God with his free expression, that's religious persecution at the hands of the state, and it's wrong. All of these things are part of the left's definition of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So let's talk about this phrase that I've said multiple times. If we are playing by the rules of the left, if we accept the premise, the left's definition of diversity, equity, and inclusion.